Good morning, everyone. I'm Anthony Tharp, again making another insert. It's April 3rd, 2023, 8:07 a.m. Up and running. I'll be hitting the road shortly, so let me just make a quick insert, a follow up on the matters of the decisions of the appeals court and the Supreme Court, which pretty much has thrown the Jamaican economy into chaos. You might be feeling it or seeing it as yet, but it's happening. A lot of people don't know banks are collapsing all over the world, including in the US. And what the appeals court just did is made a ruling or uphold a ruling that completely wipes out a significant sector of the Jamaican economy, or at least criminalizes it. So you mightn't see the significance of it yet, but it's real and it's going to be unfolding. So I'm standing by to see how the press is going to cover this one. Jamaica has one of the most let me try to find the right word. One of the most irresponsible press corps in the world. This is one of the countries where press self censor. They don't go out and cover the news as it unfolds, but they censor it and cover it up and bury it. I don't know how they're going to bury this one. And for that reason, I've coined a phrase, and I want everybody to recognize this phrase for what it is. Because what I've found is that bloggers are the ones that, especially in the context of Jamaica and delivering Jamaican information, bloggers are the ones that have been bringing the raw footage of news to the people, uncensored, live and current, in real time. And so I believe that there should be a law, and I'm going to advocate to Congress, to the United States, to the UN, every country on the planet, including Jamaica, to make legislation that covers bloggers' rights to broadcast any information they get instantaneously without having government trying to censor that information, which is illegal anyway. But governments tend to go around and use nonsensical arguments like national security and all of that to hide facts from people. I think people are intelligent enough to decipher the news for themselves and decide what's important, what's not, what's dangerous and what isn't, because ultimately it's going to be affecting them. But governments tend to play that game, and Jamaica is no different. But what in Jamaica's case, we have a press that refuse to carry the news, because the events that are unfolding or have unfolded since the last news cycle, and I came out and informed the public or viewers on YouTube and hopefully elsewhere what's happening in real time in the banking sector, the mortgage sector, the housing sector, and the development sector, in short, in Jamaica, as it relates to developers and the consumers of the developers' products, and even banks who must participate in that industry if they want to keep a vibrant banking industry going. And the things that unfolded, I'm pretty sure news agencies have it, and I'm not going to make them my priority. So I've come up with the phrase, as I've said, bloggers' rights. I think legislation should be written and passed that protect bloggers who publish information as they get it in real time. So anybody that's out there that has a cell phone, has some digital form of capturing real news in real time and real events, that they have the right to broadcast that without censorship or checking, and are immune from prosecution from any government around the world that can say, oh, they're capturing information that's of national security and therefore committing espionage, which is what the Russians have been doing and other people have been doing to lock up press persons. And I'm not saying all these press persons are legit, because you know how governments work, but at least the ordinary person riding on a train, seeing information, capturing that information and putting it out there on the World Wide Web for the global audience to make a decide on how to digest that information, shouldn't be subject to any kind of prosecution, or for example, in the US you have whistleblower laws that allow persons to, give out the information, illegal information that companies or even the government is undertaking. But at the same time, they can be prosecuted for putting that out there. Of course, that's contradictory, and it's used to scare people from publishing the news. So from the perspective of human rights, every person that's on the planet has a right to be here. Every person that's on the planet has a right to communicate their experiences or experiences around them to other people on the planet. And so we shouldn't have laws that tell people when they capture those images that they're doing it illegally, or they'll be censored or even imprisoned. Because again, freedom of press, freedom of information, freedom of speech. And so we need to protect those elements of our everyday life. Because if we don't, that's the first step in allowing the corruption that exists to persist and continue to grow. And as I've always stated and said, from my analogy of what's going on in politics, in economics, in around the world, it's all about corruption. Corruption has been thriving unabated, unchecked, because we allow it to happen, and because the persons we leave that responsibility to inform us and identify those kind of elements, this despicable elements of our existence in society to continue, is the press. The press. Now, when last did you have the press print anything that's new, that's emerging, that reports on corruption? All they do is regurgitate what's already out there, what some blogger put out there, what some private person put out there. And in fact, in most cases, when we have the press coming in, it's stale news, and they follow up asking redundant and rudimentary questions that have already been answered and are obvious. So we have no need for the press if they're going to be functioning this way. So again, I'm advocating for every blogger, every citizen, every person on this planet who has access to the internet and ways to broadcast and petition their political leaders, whether it's in Jamaica, whether it's in Europe, whether it's in the Americas, Canada, South America, whether it's in Brazil or in Ireland or Scotland or Greenland. We don't care. We need to petition those persons and say, go in and support legislation, which I am suggesting will make it obvious and clear that it's the bloggers' rights legislation that protects bloggers from getting the information out. And one of the reasons I'm saying this is because over the last couple of months I've noticed that even persons in the press, and I remember addressing the gentleman at Nationwide, who I'm very disappointed in, Mr. Hughes, where he came out and started to critically comment on the activity of bloggers. And I hit back. I said, you have no right to even come out and make those kind of statements, because you're not doing your job. You're not reporting to the press, you're not reporting to the world, you're not reporting to the people. So why are you even going out there criticizing bloggers? You don't have that right. They have a right to freedom of speech, they have a right to deliver the news, or report real-time events in real time and their commentary. And whether we like it or not, that's not up to you. And it shouldn't be up to you or any other person, whether in government or the press, to decide that. That's for us to decide. Let us hear what these people are saying and then make a determination as to whether it's valuable information that we can use to better our lives or better communities and society in general. Now come out and try to block or suggest that politicians should take action to block bloggers or stop them from reporting the news. Again, you don't have that right, and nobody has that right on the planet. And those are things we've been fighting for from time immemorial, and we have to keep fighting. Nobody has a right to suppress anybody's right to express themselves. They're not infringing on other people's rights, and they're not creating situations that's dangerous to society. They're giving us information, and it's for us to take that information, decipher it, and decide what we want to do with it. And frankly, I need to know as much as I can about what's going on in our everyday society, as opposed to sitting there and waiting on a press that's failing to perform their duties. Now, I'm rolling back this and reminding the Jamaican people or people around the world that one of the perfect study study groups that you should be looking at in terms of corruption. It's Jamaica. It's the population of Jamaica. It's the people. It's the politics. It's the judiciary. If you want to study corruption, this is one place you can do it before it deteriorates into a state like Haiti, a failed state. If you want to study it, if you're a sociological student or a sociology student, you need to really look at Jamaica and what's going on, and the events that developed from before slavery, before emancipation, before so-called independence, and do an analysis of all that's going on and went on. And you will see there's a direct correlation between the failing economy in Jamaica, the increased suffering of people in Jamaica, and when you expect them to have improved standards of living, it's deteriorating. Why? This is the 21st century when so much progress has been made in terms of technology, in terms of understanding how economies work, and yet Jamaicans and the Caribbean people and people in so-called third world emerging economies are getting poorer and poorer as we speak. Why is that? Why is education deteriorating for people as opposed to them getting more access to information with the internet that can open their minds and increase their ability to navigate what's happening on the planet? Why is it? Because we don't have a press that's doing their job, and yet they're seeking to get protected. So no, don't take the protection from the press, because there are press people out there who want to do the right thing, but their work is being suppressed by their editors or people of interest who want to keep certain information away from people. So don't take away their rights. But what I'm saying to you and all politicians out there and people who are listening is that you need to protect every person on this planet, that they have the right to publish and publicize and expose everything they see in their everyday lives if they have the technology to do so. That's all I'm saying. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm a solutions-based person, and as I've said to persons who've been watching my videos, including the ones over the last couple of days, for example, in the judiciary isn't there to punish people or make their lives any more difficult. The judiciary is there to come up with solutions that are equitable, that will work to ensure that society flows harmoniously. And I mentioned Solomon for the simple fact that if you look at Solomon's whole history as being the wisest man on the planet, at that time at least, then you see that it was a solutions-based approach he took to legislation or to the judiciary or advocating for equity between people. It wasn't about just punishing people. It was about equitable solutions. And here we have in a world that we have a judiciary, and it's not only in Jamaica now, we have a judiciary that's out there thinking they have the right to go punish people for every goddamn thing they do. And that's not right. We have press, we have judges who, for example, a couple of years ago in the US, a judge had the nerve to tell a woman she couldn't name her son Lord or Jesus or something like that. When in the Middle East, people call their sons or Jesus or Lord, whatever they want to call him, for centuries. And in fact, threatened to keep make the person in contempt of the court because she decided she didn't like the name of the woman's son. Of course, people dealt with that and she was removed. And that's the other point I'd like to make, that as long as we sit down and allow these things to happen and just slide by and don't take action, they're going to get away with it. It's when people stand up and take action that we have matters like this fixed. We have people sitting around and seeing all of that's going on around them and think somebody else should have the responsibility of protecting them and their children and their future generations. No, you need to play a role. You need to stand up. That was one of the issues we had coming out of Africa, forcefully. Because I want to say forcefully and stick a pin there, because not all Africans were taken out of Africa forcefully. Nobody remembered that the navigator of Columbus's ship was African. Alright? I don't know if he was captured as a slave before he was just living in Europe, and that's the other thing. There was this impression that black people only existed in Africa. It wasn't true and it's not true, but that's our history. That's what they wrote to fool us. You want to think all the black people pack up in Africa and nobody but across the Red Sea or the Mediterranean and go up in Europe? No, black people were all over Europe, all over Asia, and in fact, it is alleged that the first dynasty of China was founded by some short black people. All right, and you have in southern China, immediate black people, people with black in the Philippines or in Japan, all over the place, in the islands, in the Philippines, in the Pacific. You had blacks all over. So let's start rewriting our own history. But the point I'm making is, as long as we sit down and hear people talking all the nonsense and doing all the crap that destroys lives and people's lives and create disharmony between peoples of all races and creed and color, then we're going to have it because we don't stand up and protect it. So as a person who is listening this, don't just listen again, share it, subscribe, send the information out. My job now is to fight all of this crap that's going on as best as I can, for as long as I can, or as short as I can. But the important thing is for you to get the information and put it out there so other people can have it to work with and to make this country a better place, and the world, as a matter of fact. Because if we improve the standard of living in Jamaica, it means you're going to improve the standard of living percentage-wise around the planet, because it affects other people. It affects people who have to leave here and go elsewhere. And so we want to be able to do that. We want to develop a people who are astute or articulate, who will go across the planet and stand up for truths and rights. That's who Jamaicans are. That's why Marcus Garvey went to the US and they had to deport him out of fear that he was bringing people into an understanding that they have the right to exist and they have the right to make decisions on their own. They couldn't stand that, and so they suppressed him and kicked him out. The same thing they did with Malcolm X. They murdered him to stop that. They murdered those freedom fighters in the South because they didn't want people to think they had the right to stand up for themselves and not be subjugated by some racist group of people who are ignorant and have no idea of where they came from in the first place, but they're disputing where we came from. We're original people on the planet. But that said, what I'm saying to you is, wake up, light that spark inside yourself to stand up and start fighting for your right, fighting for other people's rights. Because when you fight for other people's rights, you're also protecting your own, you're protecting your children's right. And therefore, when you see a lady next door being beaten or brutalized by her spouse, you don't just sit there, you report it. Because people like that go out and they take it out on not only that person but other people and send the wrong message to society. It's an imprint on your children when they see all of that happening. Don't sit around there and allow your husband or your boyfriend or your spouse to beat you down, or vice versa. Because there are some strong women out there who don't put up with nonsense, and yeah, they put a beating on some guy as well. But the point I'm making, and we continue to make, is that you have a right and a responsibility as long as you're on the planet. So going back to where we were before, on this whole thing about the corruption in Jamaica and what the courts just did, as I've indicated, it is not just about judges who make bad decisions. It's about judges who make deliberate effort to make bad decisions, because whatever reason, we don't really care, and we shouldn't, but those decisions destroy society. So here we have a panel of judges at the appeals court level that just pretty much defecated on the law of the land and the people's rights, and people's rights, human rights violations, because you're going to sit there and turn people into criminals. And I keep saying you made a ruling that turned people into criminals, because in your own decision, and the decision made by Justice Ty, she states it in there. And in fact, Mr. Williams, who is the attorney, again, knucklehead, who's the attorney. And the reason I have this attitude towards this guy, has a nasty attitude. I had to stop him in trial and say, who the hell you think you're talking to? You know, because I don't know if they figure that because I'm in court, he has some right or he has some authority to talk to me. Anyway, I stopped him right in court there in front of the judge and said, who the hell you think you're talking to? Because I'd hammer that bitch out of that place. He's out of order and disrespectful. And him thinks him can just talk to any people because him wear a black robe. Him making a big mistake. Him don't know whom we be. Alright? My people fight for freedom from the day I was born and before, and we continue to fight. So don't come step on my rights, think you can talk to me any which way. And it's the same thing I said to some judges who try that. No, I'm not there to be bullied. And you're not going to talk to me in any way. You're there to do a job and do it respectfully, because I don't disrespect people. I don't dishonor people. So don't try it with me because you have on a black robe and you put up there to adjudicate matters between me. I am there voluntarily. And no matter it's settled until both parties decide it's settled. You're there to advocate a peaceful and equitable solution to these issues. Now come in there, come bully nobody or think you can talk to me or anybody that way. And if you've been talking to people that way, then you need to adjust yourself. As some people use the term now, you need to stick in your lane, stay in your lane. You don't disrespect people. I remember years ago when I was in high school, a friend of mine, he used to pass his time going into court in Montego Bay. And one lunchtime, he said, come man, we could go to court. And I went, the first time I was going into a court of law. And they were trying a matter there, and it was a Justice Beckford, the same Justice Beckford that we mentioned in the matter of Capital One, the first judge that had heard that matter. And I remember they had this guy on the stand, apparently they charged him, but they didn't have any evidence, and the judge was like, me know you're guilty, you know, me know you're guilty, you know. Me know you're guilty, but me have to let you go because they don't have no evidence. Now, the problem with that, which is what I had, if he was even guilty, the judge never have any right to even make that statement to that person, because she don't have that right. There was no evidence that this person did any crime, and they wrongfully incarcerated him, and so she have to let him go, and rather than just say, listen, we apologize for this, and tell the police to go get evidence next time, or the prosecutor go and tell them about, me know you're guilty, you know, me know you're guilty. And this is something I heard, and that is the attitude that some of these judges and attorneys and people in so-called high place, position of high authority that we put in place to protect our rights. That wasn't right then, you know, right now. So don't talk to me any which way. I don't think you want to take revenge on me because I'm speaking out. Because that is what you're doing. This is why you made this bad decision. Because I deliberately pressured you to give a ruling on the matter instead of doing that. And I sent videos, you know, to the registrar to say, this is what's going to happen because of this delay in the decision that's coming, that should have been delivered a while back. I said, this is what's going to happen. This ruling is going to ruin the Jamaican economy. And it's a bad ruling. And it's against the law. And it's against people's rights. And instead of delivering a just ruling or going and analyzing it and come back with something that makes sense, you come back and say you embrace what Justice Ty did and have this attorney put up and Justice Ty put up some nonsensical case law that has no bearing whatsoever on what's in front of the court. Because I will submit and repeat again, what does it have to do with me and developing property with other people, with man I try buy peas and I buy peas? That's the kind of logic to come with, and I advocate and submit again that the court must change its rules and compel judges to follow the rules. If the rules say it must do this, you do it. You don't have no ambiguities and say, oh, you can do this, but. The minute you put a but in there, you open the court and the judiciary to judicial abuse. And that's what's been happening. Because if people are under a system with rules, then follow the rules. They're subjected to the rules. Follow the rules. You know, we have matters in front of the court that's been deliberately pushed back or delayed. For what reason? Trying to get at me? No, you're destroying the economy, you're destroying the country, and you're destroying the judiciary. The judiciary. I keep getting a lips thing there. But the point I'm making, and we continue to make, is every inaction that you take not to do the right thing, you're destroying people's rights, the country, the independence of the country and the nation, and you're creating the pathway to a failed state. So all you judges who are there breaking the rules, breaking the law, thinking you're running your own little patty shop, you're not. You're working for us, and you're working for the people, and you must deliver the job in accordance to how the people want you to deliver it. And that's just being honest and fair, following the rules. And where you see inequality or injustice or inequity in anything that you're going to be doing, you don't follow it, because the rules of the court say you can't engage in any illicit or illegal activity. So when you go out there and make a ruling that is in conflict with the law of the land, then you're breaking the law. So it's not me that's breaking the law, you know, it's you. When you make a ruling that somebody who is following the law is not following the law because you have the authority, that's an illegal act. You're breaking the rules, you're breaking the law. And you have to be the more analytical in how you approach business. If you do something wrong on one side, it can't be correct on the other side. You can't break the law to make the law. You follow the law. But you guys have been breaking the law to make law and then subject people to an illegal act that you committed. And then you're going to sanction other people to go out there and think because they're attorneys, they have the right to come in and break the law. And then you let them slide and thinking you're helping the country and the judiciary. Or that's your responsibility, your so-called honored responsibility. No, it's not. You're breaking the law. Follow the law. Follow the rules. You're not a legislator. You're not there making laws. You're there to enforce laws via the court. That's what you're supposed to do. You're not there to make laws. That's a parliament. That's our democracy. And when you take that kind of action, you're infringing on my democratic right. A right as a citizen in a country that has the right to say, guess what, this is what we want and this is what we voted for. We put people in here to make laws and they make it. And if we don't like what they make, we tell them to change it. That's what people do, and we do that at the election box. We change them. But if you keep doing what you're doing and just randomly going and make decisions that undermine the economy, undermine our democracy, what do you think is going to happen? And I think everybody's going to be able to run out of the island or run off the island after you create chaos. Because that's what a lot of you do. You sit down on no visa and figure when you mess up the place, then you retire and go on about no business and everybody has to stay there, suffer. And because we collect some paycheck over a couple of years and you retire now, there are no consequences. No, you're ruining a country, you're ruining people, and you're contributing to planetary distress of people all over the place. You're undermining humanity by being dishonest in your approach of how you do business. And the business are the people. So don't think you're getting at me when you sit down there and you don't make matters come in front of the court that should be in front of the court. And I'm delivering this message straight to the registrar. Because you can't be the registrar and have matters sitting there and then think you're not involved with the injustice. Whosoever is holding or hiding documents and you don't know. I will even mention the Chief Justice over the courts, because I was so disappointed in the Chief Justice of the Appeals Court the other day that was a man I had in high regard. And when he came down and sat down in a ruling where somebody is going to come up with some rule that's anti-Jamaican law, anti-constitutional, and you sit there and allow it to slide when you're a part of a 3-panel judge, and you don't say anything, then that's telling me something. The high regard I had is no longer there, because you're part and parcel of the problem. Because if you see it and you don't fix it, then you're part and parcel of the problem. And when you came in there and you tried to walk back rulings that you made and the comments you made, then that's telling me something as well. Imagine you made a ruling in 2012 and in court in front of all of us you're trying to walk it back. And that's why I said, well, maybe you should read the ruling of Justice Beswick, because Justice Beswick repeated the ruling that you made. So you're going to walk back that as well? And then again, you just allow people to make orders that destroy people's lives. Now, how is having me sitting around for another 10 years on a matter that the court already ruled on in my favor justice? But that's what you do, and that's what you did, and that's what you're doing. And my whole thing is, if you're doing that to me, what are you doing to other people? What about the poor people who don't know them rights? I won't fight for it, because I'm going to fight for mine. Let it be known, I am going to fight for my rights. And I don't know, should I recognize it? I don't know, it's the people that's willing to stand up for them rights. That's the wrong person to go take up a fight against, and then try to abuse your power, your privilege, or your authority by trying to oppress or suppress that person. That's the wrong people you fight with. When you have people who are willing to stand up regardless of what and fight for them right, then that's the wrong person to go challenge. I want to fail to recognize that, because a lot of the things I file in court is not there because I had to file it. I filed it because I wanted evidence in front of the people of this country and the world to show you the kind of actions you guys are taking down there. As John Kerry said, Secretary of State of the United States stated clearly, the Jamaican judicial system is dysfunctional. I'm not embarrassed, have no shame. It's dysfunctional. The State Department of the United States came out a couple weeks ago, I don't think it's even 3 weeks, and stated that Jamaica is one of the most corrupt places on the planet, in not so many words, paraphrasing. If you check the year before, the same thing, the year before, the same thing, the year before, the same thing. Organizations that's around the world measuring Jamaica as one of the most corrupt places on the earth, on the planet. And you want to tell me that people who claim they're honest people making decisions that affect people's lives not have a problem with that? Just walk around every day as if you know head up in the cloud or head in the sand like a damn ostrich? No, something needs to be done. And I am going to always repeat it. It's the responsibility of Jamaicans who live abroad and live at home to fix it. Now just sit down and, I was surprised that this is happening, and alarm. Oh my God. You have a responsibility to fix it. You might recognize it now, but it affects you psychologically and otherwise, whether you love it or like it or not. It has its effect on you as a Jamaican when you're abroad and you hear all of that. When you want to go home and you hear you're going to that place, you're going to end up being kidnapped like in Haiti soon. You have family there, whether you like it or not. Not care how distant they are, you have family, you have friends, you have a history. And if you don't have that where you can value it and revisit it, then something is wrong with the quality of life you're enjoying. To be in exile, self-exile because of crime happening at home. And when I say crime, I'm not talking about people down there rob people or stick up people, because those things are the end result of corruption. Those things are the end result of bad politicians and bad political leadership that results in crimes occurring in the country. Crimes of passion. People get so frustrated with them lives and everything, and go up and take it out on them spouse or them family. It all is connected. And when judges sit up there and allow their colleagues to commit these acts of crime against humanity and society and the Jamaican people, then you know better. You need to stand up and clean out the house. You need to go down to the courthouse and have a conference of some sort and notify everybody when they will commit the crime. We don't need to resign because it make me look bad. Now try to turn it around on the people who are making the reports and exposing it as if we are the ones that's committing the crime. And I'm saying that just to reinforce the fact that here again, this decision that came down from the appeals court on the 31st of March 2023, that real estate developers are criminals, that people who buy houses from real estate developers are criminals, that banks who do transactions with these people are criminals, or committed crimes or illegality. And if you commit illegalities, you're a crime. It's a crime. You're criminal. So now I try to dress it up. State the facts are, because the judge threatened me to tell me about me lucky me never get locked up. She tell me that in court. For following the law. For following the rules. And you go in front of the court now, the highest court in the land, with 3 judges who sit down up there, supposed to fix the situation so it doesn't occur to anybody else or undermine the integrity of the country and protect investors. Instead of going and doing the right thing and straightening it out, trying to protect the judge, or give the bad lawyer a slide, and give Mrs. King the ability to defraud people of their money, their hard-earned money, which you are supposed to protect as a judiciary, as a court. You say you can't get involved with illegalities. Then what you just did, when you made a ruling that says the law of the land is illegal and made those people who perform their activity under the law legally crooks and criminals, and allow those persons who violated the agreements to now take people's money and just walk away, violating those people, the victims' property rights, then who is the criminal here? Because I don't know if you don't realize that's what you just did. Everything is connected. The constitutionality of the people's rights to property that they put money in, that they were invited to put money in legally. But we're going to hear that, people who sign contracts because they don't have, because that's what it amounts to. You're now saying anybody who sign a contract to buy land or deal with land in any form, fashion, must have a dealer's license, which is a whole bunch of you know what, slurry. Shaving cream, Fab 5, shaving cream, nice and clean. But this is slurry. This is people defecating on people's rights. And the overall implication is that you either are ignorant of the law, which I doubt. You either are not mentally able to manage the responsibilities you have, which could be true, but I doubt. And if those two suggestions are incorrect, then it means that you deliberately took action which was in contravention of the law, of people's rights, of humanity, of this country's democratic, constitutionally developed system of government, and undermine the people of this country. How are you going to justify it? And as I said, I'm not even going to bother waste my time. If all the developers out there who were just labeled criminals, if all the banks out there who want to lose all their money because every agreement you entered with in these people are void and illegal and therefore must be dropped, and you cannot get back your money because the people don't have the money to give back your money. You cannot take their house because you never acquired no house legally and the house was illegally built. So in terms of illegalities and so, to be honest, these people illegally built homes based on the ruling of the court because they weren't legally recognized as developers, and therefore the KSAC and anybody parish council that they did build these buildings in can issue a demolition order for illegally constructed buildings. I'm saying the more you think about it, you realize the gamut of this ruling and the implications and the mistakes that you made that are going to cause chaos in society. And it's not just that people can go about their business as usual, because the reality is when you made that decision, you changed the law. You changed the law. And so you have to find a way to fix it. Not for me to fix. So I'm not going to waste my time. And in fact, people, honestly, who are listening, I don't see why I should even be bothered with fighting any matters in Jamaica or putting out any resources in Jamaica. Unfortunately for the people who suffered are going to suffer because of these decisions. I have been fighting for you for the last 16, 17 years to protect your interests. And I've tried to do it in such a way that it don't cost you money, it don't cost you time, and it don't cost you the stress. I bore all of that over the 16-year period. But it's not bearing any fruit because dishonesty is growing and is fertile in Jamaica. Irresponsible people are in positions, and unless you want to stand up and fight it, guess what? I can't do it alone again. I've asked Jamaicans who hear this tape, who see this video, who hear what I'm saying, who try to understand what's going on, to be a part of this fight. I don't see why I should be killing myself and short my very short lifetime to keep fighting for people who don't really care to stand up for themselves. So again, just thought I'd shoot you a quick video on how I feel. As I said, the important thing, and I want to send this to all bloggers that are out there who really have been pushing, exposing a lot of these things that's going on. This is one of those matters that can help you deal with the very issues you've been dealing with, exposing the fraud in the court, exposing the irresponsible behavior of people in the court, exposing the ignorance that's going on in the court, and the abuse of the judiciary that's going on in the courts. Because it's not just about me. I can walk away from all of this and not even think about it. But it's destroying this country, and it's destroying people who want to get a break and gave it a shot. Because all these people who took their money and invested in Mrs. King's property after Mrs. King sent us invitation letters to become a part of the development process, all these people are victims, and made victims by the court system, the judges who ruled on this. So we're not even interested in Mrs. King. Mrs. King is just a tool being used by these people to try to get back at us at some unknown point. But stand up, bloggers, stand up under the theme bloggers' rights. And under bloggers' rights, it's merely saying that every person with a cell phone anywhere in the world, whether you're in Brazil or Iceland or Australia or Jamaica, whether you're in the fields of North America struggling or in the jungles of Africa or in some dark coal mine or gold mine in South Africa being abused, whether you take up a cell phone in any circumstances on the planet and send it to across the globe, that your human rights are protected. The UN, I'm asking the UN to put it under their war crimes charter, that anybody who facilitates videos across the globe using their cell phones or any other means to get information out, that they have a right to do so, and they don't need badges of labeling them journalists to do anything. Every human being has a right to be on this planet and to expose everything that's going on. So on that legislation that I'm asking every country on the planet to enact, and I'm asking the US specifically to be one of the leaders with these kind of laws to make sure everybody is protected, because that's what countries do when they want to oppress people. That's what major corporations do when they want to suppress people. They go with their buddy friends and take action that suppress people's rights. And as I've said, Mr. Man at Nationwide, I'm going to ask you to start publicizing the news as it comes. You have a responsibility. And as you know, I sued the Observer and I sued the FSC for the defamation that you also broadcast. And I didn't sue you because I figured you were the press and you were carrying the news. But based on Jamaican law, and based on Jamaican law then now, that you also published the defamatory statements. And the statute of limitation hasn't run on you either, so I don't think it's run, because it occurred in 2007, 2008, whatever. It didn't run because I filed a suit against the publication. And therefore you can be named even now as a relevant and necessary party. But I didn't do that because I wanted the press to lead the charge of informing people of the illegalities that's occurring in this country or in Jamaica. And instead of doing that, you're sitting on the news. You're burying the news. The Gleaner, I won't even mention them. They're a worthless set of people over there that I've ever seen. And I can say all of that liberally without reservation, because I carry so much documents come get them people over there. And they sit on it and refuse to publish factual data that people can use to analyze what's going on in their own country. I want to refuse to do it because some quote unquote, and that's what I was told by an official from your own paper, some higher ups. Or what kind of higher ups are interested in suppressing the news and destroying lives, and you refuse to carry it? So bloggers' rights should be supported by every Jamaican, every citizen on the planet, everybody. And it should be supported over any kind of right that's given to the press. Because whereas bloggers getting the information out by whatever means, the press is suppressing it. And it's not only the press in Jamaica, by the way. We know the press in the US suppress it on all kind of excuses as well, whether it's for corporate gain, protecting their corporate interests elsewhere. You know, we know they do it. It's been publicized. We see it all the time. But we don't expect that in Jamaica. But again, people are corrupt all over. And again, whether you get paid or not, it don't matter. If you commit the crime, then you should do the time. Jamaicans, thank you for taking the time to listen. As I said, I'm going to be on the road today. I don't mind being on the road. It relaxes me. I'll be on the highway, and that helps to settle things. But I'll be coming back later with more information, and I'm going to be reaching out to law enforcement again about a lot of the corruption that's going on and needs to be fixed, and see what I can do on my little part. But you can play a greater role in bringing civility to an illegally functioning judiciary that's helping to grow corruption and crime in Jamaica. Thank you. You have a great morning, and Easter is coming, so if I don't talk to you before, which hopefully I will, you'll enjoy Easter. Oh, and by the way, bun and cheese, just to mention, I hate to say it, but I get better bun and cheese in the US than in Jamaica, just like oxtail. Something is wrong with that, right? Curry goat, same thing. We don't need to stop with ketchup in our oxtail in Jamaica and call it authentic. But bun and cheese, I remember the days when you used to get bun and cheese, buns of all variety. Some dry, some not so sweet. When I come Jamaica now and buy bun, I want to export some of them buns here too, because I see them. When you cut them up, pure sugar. I want to try kill off Jamaicans. You don't have to make the thing so sweet or so salty. Cut back on the sugar and make profit. Bun tastes good if it's not very sweet. You buy anything at Jamaica now that's baked, having so much sugar, you have more sugar than flour, I guess. But you're killing your people and you're losing money because you're spending more to create the sugary stuff. And it's not good for the economy because more people end up going to the hospital and causing the country medical bills. So we have to start thinking. And people in the baking industry, cut out the sugar, man. Cut down on the sugar. You don't have to be so sweet. Fruit cake, the same thing. You can hardly tell the difference between the sugar and the wine. So we need to clear up with business. Happy Easter. And I hope it will be a peaceful and enjoyable Easter for you and your family. Well, let's get together and let's fix our country and fix life so that we have a better, increased standard of living for all of us. Thank you. Have a good one. Bye.